It's gonna be all like blocky though. So this it's gonna look like I'm moving like a strobe light. No.
Do the robot.
Boom. Sup, gamers? What's up, player oneers? Ready, player oneers?
Oh God. Oh no.
Alec, so what did we agree? How many likes does this video have to get for Hollis to do that condom challenge live on air?
No, no, please, no.
I'm thinking 63 likes.
Whoa.
How about that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And that's not for the lifetime of this video. That's got to be for until we get together next.
That's right. That's our challenge.
If we double that, will you do one up each nostril?
Hell no, I'm not doing. Listen, okay, we're going too far. We're doing the most for likes right now. I don't really.
All right. Just stick with the old school Tide Pod challenge at 25 likes. Okay.
I got a couple in my room for a snack. You know what I mean?
Guys, what's going on? Council of the Crest. We are hitting the second part of our, our breakdown, our thoughts, our feelings, our impressions. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know what we call it now since we've thrown the tier system out the window. But
just talking the talk.
Just round tabling or L tabling with you guys here. So get active in the chat. Let us know as you hang out and truck along as we truck along through these. If you're new here, make sure you give us a subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're going live, because we do this so randomly at different times on Wednesdays. And you might as well just give it a like. Likes help. If you want to help more, you can subscribe through YouTube Gaming or throw something at us at the Patreon, and we'll be grateful for it. Anyway, that's all that housekeeping out of the way. Let's rock this stuff.
Fantastic.
We made it.
All right, so let's get right into this corpse side here. We're starting with a card it's trying its best. One day maybe we'll have this archetype be a real thing. Let's see if this will get us there. This is Kawindi K4H1U3, and it's an HB asset Byroid unique. A res cost of 3, trash cost of 3, and 4 influence. It's pretty hefty. And it says when your turn begins, you may trace X. If successful, do 1 brain damage and trash Kawindi. If unsuccessful, place 1 power counter on Kawindi. And X is the number of power counters on Kawindi. Now, before we go anywhere, I just want to throw a big shout out to my favorite Netrunner card of all time, and that is Helium-3 deposits. And let me tell you, the Helium-3 deposits you score with a Kawindi res on the board will take it from 1 power counter to 3 power counters.
Jesus.
And all you got to do is score a 2/4. No problems.
No problem.
I'm kidding. Anyway, what do you guys think about this? Is this the brain damage tech that HB needs, or is this
no,
not so good?
I have been wanting brain damage to be some kind of. I know it has to be balanced, because obviously brain damage, is such a handicap in the game. For the long haul, it's not. There's no good recovery from it, like you're dealing with meat and net. So it's gotta be careful on the power levels they set when doing this stuff. But I don't feel like this is the piece that we're missing. In a brain damage deck, like there's just other ways to do things.
Right.
I'm not excited for this card.
Yeah, me neither. The biggest downside is that it's a trace, which, yes, I understand, balance wise, if they want to keep it so it's not a guaranteed brain damage, and as a runner you can pay off the trace. but a lot of runners these days are rocking a couple link. So for a few turns, this isn't really going to do much. Maybe tax the runner a couple credits. And by then, if they're really worried about that one brain damage, just go trash this thing. Like, 3 to trash, it's not that bad. And you have a couple turns to get in there, even if it's in a pretty heavily defended remote. So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe someday this fits into, like, a brain damage, swarmy, like, just crazy amounts of damage. But right now, I just don't see it.
I kind of feel like this card really needs, not trying to get too much into like Magical Christmas Land, it just needs a lighter res cost. Brain damage, we know that brain damage, like a single brain damage, doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot, right? Unless the strategy is to kill. When you start tacking it on, it gets more when you have that 2 brain damage and 3 brain damage. Now all of a sudden it puts the game, any mistake, any misstep is results in the game loss. This premise is in HB has always been a pipe dream. It's always been that cool archetype that that HB has available to it in its toolkit, but it's never been so fleshed out to where it's really been that viable. And I don't think this card is the thing to do it. If anything, if it wanted to help it, it would probably be better to possibly be at a lower trash or lower res cost ratio, res to trash cost ratio. Like I can see this card easily costing 1 to res, still having the 3 to trash, and then it simply becomes an easy card to include in a deck that wants to use that archetype, but I don't think the card is too powerful. I think, at 3, it's pretty reasonable to trash the card, and it's advantageous in that archetype for the corp to res it. Because it's not that, because it's a 3 res, I don't know, it's kind of hard to justify, paying 3 for effectively a trace 0 at first.
So, the math that doesn't line up for me on this card is that it seems like I'm doing a lot of work to just do a single brain damage. Like looking at the chip in a looking at the card in a vacuum. I know that if you're playing a brain damage deck, you're probably going to want to include defective brain chip. So maybe you can you're getting 2 brain damage in that situation, but I just don't think that combination is even worth it to try and focus on to pull off. Installing this, res costing it, pulling off a successful trace to do 1 damage, and then trash is just very, very convoluted for me.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I think there is a way of getting these effects in the trace matters more so than the effect. So I'm thinking of cards like Aryabhata Tech, which reward you for tracing frequently. And to have another means of generating a trace turn over turn, that's not nothing. And if you could get those cards into the same deck and the runner is reluctant to trash things, maybe you start setting up a window for a kill. I don't know.
So
it's a hard include.
Yeah, so those are the negatives for me. Looking at the positives of this card design, I like the fact that they've costed it high to keep it in HB so that we don't see, this used if ever asset spammy stuff comes back and it's not in HB. So at least you're controlling, you're able to apply a sense of control to this card. I'm happy to see that. The other cool thing that I like about this card is subtype synergy, giving this a Biroid. So we're seeing another Biroid asset, which I really like. You'll be able to.
That's true.
You're able to, you might be able to do some funky stuff, being able to res Biroid.
Well, yeah. So out of Architects of Tomorrow, that's a good point. You can res this card for free with your Architects of Tomorrow trigger, which, that's not the worst. It's pretty all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The card effect itself triggers when your turn begins. So, it doesn't use any actions. Basically, once the card is rezzed, even though it is to me an expensive res cost, once the card is up, its effect is gonna trigger, and it's gonna its effect is gonna trigger to either get you the power counter or possibly give you the brain damage. So look at it maybe. Turn 1, it doesn't really do much. Turn 2, maybe still not much. Turn 3, they can choose to trash it, but there's an active tax associated. By turn 3, hey, do you want to pay 3? Well, I pay nothing. I mean, technically, the card just sits. So, I mean, you've already paid to res it, but it's like, if it lasts for 3 turns, if it lasts to a turn 3, then it goes, okay, well, I haven't invested any money into this trace. This is just me checking you. Are you going to pay 1 now? Or are you going to pay 2 now? Or are you going to pay 3 now?
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting, but I still don't know. I mean, I think at some point when you do that math, you have to say, okay, well, if I'm going to lose 1 and then the next turn I'm going to lose 2, I need to trash it now. Right? Like, that's the math.
Yeah. So, I think it might find its way into a couple decks. Maybe they're trying to pull off a Ronin kill or some kind of meat damage, nep damage thing out of HB, but...
You're going to use excavation contract with it? Get some money back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, CBC.
Hey, get
right.
some money for each rezzed Biroid, man.
Yeah,
options,
but I think you're spot on. Yeah, it's like the 4 influence means it's really only going to stay in HB, which is probably a good thing, because if you could easily splash this into NBN, it would be a lot more troubling. But as is, if you go all in brain damage, you now have a new option.
Yep.
That doesn't totally suck. It's, I think a fair, well-costed card.
It doesn't,
and because of that, it's not.
It doesn't totally suck, but
yeah, exactly.
It sucks. All right, well, let's move on.
All right. Well, speaking of cards that work well together, it's next Sapphire. Whoa, more next cards. All right, this is. Let's hope this one doesn't suck. It's Code Gate. Next subtype, 4 res, 2 strength, 3 influence. And it's got an X value, which is the number of resed next dice. Makes sense. And it has 3 subroutines. Draw up to X cards, add up to X cards from archives to HQ, and then shuffle up to X cards from HQ into R&D. Damn. That's pretty good.
This card is value town.
Yeah, that is money. And if you are like any next deck, you're going to have X on this card is probably going to be around 3 to 4, maybe 5 by the mid game, and that's substantial. Particularly against the most popular Dakota right now, which would probably be Black Orchestra. 3 subs is no joke. That's kind of a bummer to break. So yeah, I think it's pretty impressive. It's a rough face check. Like, you're giving the corp a lot of options for this.
In post Jackson world, right? Card value, rather, I guess, like card quality is really, really important, and this is what this card has a ton of, or at least tries to provide the corp with a ton of, giving you the ability to say, hey, draw up, and now you have something in archives. We'll toss those back in the deck, or toss those back in HQ, and now, hey, why don't you shuffle some of the things in HQ back in R&D? And so you kind of helps with this card quality. It helps fix the hand. Post Jackson, post Yogg world, if we were talking just even 6 months ago, I would have told you, hey, this card is basically not playable because Yogg exists. Right. But this is cool. I really dig this. 3, like you said, I mean, knowing the Black Orchestra for a lot of people is the go-to. 3 subs is disgusting. It's really annoying to deal with. It's not a happy card. It's not a happy card to break.
Right.
And I think it's appropriately costed for what it does, for sure.
Yeah. It's also pretty dope against indexing. Like, indexing is one of those really powerful cards these days, and you got this Rest on R&D, like, it's a bummer. You got to break that thing real good. And unfortunately for this card, Gordian Blade kind of cuts through it fairly easily, but I don't know. 3 is still... If you put it on Essential and they're running through it for 3 every time, that's okay.
I don't want to keep using this term, but I'm going to. Looking at this in a vacuum, I really like this card. I think that this is something that if this was the first piece of Next Ice that you ever saw, you'd be like incredibly excited for the potential of what can bounce off this. Seeing that Next Ice never really was that prevalent. I mean, it was a niche in the game. I'm just worried about the playability of this, and especially because you have to look at it as okay. So let me just say, would you play this by itself with no other Next?
Probably not.
Yeah. So I really feel like you're gonna have to like that. You're playing it in some kind of Next suite of cards, right? So,
right. But would you have played any of the Next Ice by themselves?
Yeah, the one that was the quick and the run. I've seen that played by itself. Was it bronze?
Bronze? Yeah. Okay. That's
like
fair.
Just as like a quick face stopper back when that came out. And for the cost and stuff like that, I saw it. To when people were just pumping a quick fast advance. So this is an interesting piece of ice because the amount of subroutines on it, what's going on, the cost. It doesn't seem to be that early game Next Ice that we've seen in the past, though, right? Like,
except for Next Gold. I mean, Next Gold is not an early game ice.
Okay,
yeah.
There's exceptions to the rule, but
sure,
I'm just saying like that this, because of the, I think you want to pop this at the right time so that you're getting value from the subroutines. Like, am I going to res this, when I don't have anything in archives? Probably not. So, I mean, it's not something I want to see in my opening, even though it's a combo piece, right? Like, I mean, to me, this is a middle of the game play for Next, which is good for the fact that it stretches the suite out a little more. You're getting more depth in your next selection, and I think that's important to make it a viable call. So I hope that Next rolls into something, because this is having a middle class piece of ice, something that's going to do work for you in the middle game, is very important. You can't just have all these like, I'm going to just add some subroutines, or I'm just going to, up the strength and have just one subroutine and stuff. You need something that's in depth, and that the subroutines are actually going to affect play, right? Like drawing cards, returning cards, and shuffling cards around. All things that you want to do. Yeah.
Right.
Mid to late game.
Right. And I think those subs are offering effects to HB that it's kind of hard to find. You have to include extra cards to get those effects, right? Shuffling back from archives. That's usually preemptive action. Shuffling cards from HU into R&D, that's like... It's pretty rare to find that effect these days. Not out of HB, really. So, yeah, just having that like on a piece of ice that the runner has to deal with every time, and just threatening... Even one, like X being one, I still think, yeah, those effects at the right time, I agree. At the right time in the game, they'll make a difference.
Sorry, then I just wanted to throw out there that someone did mention that I've seen people talk about in chat there about the twins, having them loop through it again. So anytime someone can get the twins in the deck, I'm all for it. But
there you go. Yeah, that's a crazy combo, and if you can pull it off, like,
yeah, power to you.
Kudos.
But I'm not banking on it.
Yeah.
2018 Worlds winner, Helheim Servers twins. Next time.
Rip.
We'll be like, no!
Yeah, this card gets on the next most wanted list at this rate.
No! Boggs, why? No.
Did you have anything to add there, Hollis?
No, I think you guys covered those points real well.
Yeah. So next Sapphire, thumbs up.
I think overall for me, I think it's a net positive total.
Yeah. Great. Great cost.
In the right things.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the card I am most terrified of in this pack. This is Anansi. It's a Jinteki Sentry AP Res 8 Strength 5 4 Influence. All right. And it's got this crazy encounter effect that says whenever an encounter with Anansi ends, do 3 net damage unless the runner broke all subroutines on it. And it has 3 subroutines. Look at the top 5 cards of R&D and arrange them in any order. You may draw 1 card. The runner may pay 2 credits to draw 1 card, and then do 1 net damage. So this card totally ruins all of my fun. Because here's the thing. I've recently been running Security Nexus decks, and because the way this is worded, it still hits you for 3 net damage even if you use Security Nexus on it. Same thing with Fem, same thing with Inside Job. It don't matter. Hunting Grounds can't do anything about this. You hit Anansi, you got to break those subs, or you're taking a snare worth of damage on a piece of ice that you can't break. Well, you got to break. You can break the ice, and then but you see what I mean. It's really good. This card is really.
It's. I hope that people call this Mr. Nancy. For any of you American Gods fans out there, Anansi.
Yeah, nice.
That was a good. He had a good scene, by the way. He had the best. No,
yeah. I agree.
Not seen.
I agree.
The spider.
Yeah.
I like the way this card is designed because of that. Because that interaction. I don't like it because, yes, I use those stopping the encounter effects cards, but really breaking the mold on having that. It just a crazy when encounter ability there. The subroutines are all chalked with stuff. I mean, it's 5 strength. Being so heavy influence costed, I think could hurt it because the cost is really high in Jinteki there.
Sure. Yeah. But there are certain decks like Polana or Ag Infusion, I think, that can pull this off. That they're comfortably already running DNA Tracker and Chiashi, and drop an 8 for an effect that's going to be potent is worth it.
But that's where I think the issue is that this or DNA Tracker, I feel like I'm taking DNA Tracker and I don't know if I can do both.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think it really depends on runner tech, like which of those two you think runners
catch
as
on?
a whole
Yeah.
are going to have a harder time dealing with. Yeah. So that'll depend. Right now, Big Ice doesn't matter as much as it did because we got all these pirates running around. So Big Ice is a little less relevant when they could just grappling hook through this.
Yeah. And that's hard when you
depend.
see your ice get slashed like that after you've already committed that high of a res cost,
Yep. But it's a big threat, and in decks with a lot of net damage, say you're rocking Obokata protocol at the bottom of a server with this, watch out.
Yeah, someone in chat made a good point. Said exactly what I was thinking before I got to speak. But he said, between like cards like this and Kakugo, it seems like there's so much passive net damage running around for you playing the game in other ways that aren't even just like you get hit by the subroutine. You've always, we've always had Snare that was there, and of course now like Obokata, Kakugo, and now this. It seems like Jinteki is definitely going to be a deck now, especially if they're doing the 1,000 cuts or whatever kind of strategy where they try to kill you with the net, where you have to be so careful now, even with how you break ice. It's almost like depending on the way the player or just the existing threats that are in the deck, playing wrong on a particular server, not even just in general, just on that server, can cause you to lose the game. Like imagine a scenario where you're like, well, I really need this one credit to steal a card or to trash a card. And the only way I know I trash that card is if I don't break all the subroutines on Anansi. That's kind of rough. It puts you in a very weird position because now they've rezzed like an upgrade or something, or rezzed rezzed a face on upgrade, and you're like, okay, well, I really want to trash it, but I can't do it if I pass all these subs from Anansi. Is it worth taking this net damage here? Am I going to take more net damage later? It's pretty sick. And I think that's a good thing. I think that, Jinteki really needs those kinds of options to make just running and bypassing ice a dangerous thing to do. So I think it's cool. I really like that this card exists, and I agree with Jameson. I think it's very hard to determine if you run this versus straight up DNA or
DNA tracker.
Yeah, DNA tracker, because they're both good, I feel like. So I don't know.
So the I mean, it's flip-flop. The diversity is nice. Alec, you mentioned that. If one breaker becomes prevalent, the other one kings. The design space, though, that I don't like about this is that you're never... You create cards like this and you're not giving people any more reason to even try Nero. Like, goodbye.
Nero's too good. Get out of here. He won a store champ, right?
Yeah, but I mean, was this card out?
Yeah, no, I guess not. Well, here's the thing that I think this card does. If you weren't already running feedback filter, I've been running feedback filter for months, man.
Yeah, don't
slot that. Slot that.
No,
filter.
Don't tell people that stuff.
Yeah, that's get in there. Toss out your film critics. You don't need to get that feedback filter. That's the good stuff.
Feedback filter is ridiculous. So, from me, thumb sideways-ish on this, because I'm very mixed. I think that I like what this card's doing on the when encounter ability. I can't get behind this res cost right now. That's ouch.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, one or the other. If you put DNA trackers in, this is a hard sell, but the variety could definitely surprise some people. And I think that's what this card is going to do, at least for a couple months, is it's going to catch people off guard and smack them for a ton of damage. Yeah. And might even kill some people. Like, not expecting 4 net damage? Enjoy. It's pretty good.
Cool.
I think it's just okay, right? Like I think it's good to okay. Okay, good. I don't know. I think it'll see play.
Well, seeing play is all we care about. So shine on, you crazy Jinteki diamonds. All right, let's move on to a super interesting card. This is Code Replicator. It's a Jinteki upgrade. It's got a Res 2, Trash 2, Influence 2. Very smooth. And it says, when the runner passes a rezzed piece of ice protecting this server, you may trash Code Replicator to force the runner to approach that piece of ice again. So,
to be clear, is this flavor text a loop? Someone in chat answered that if you're a programmer. But does that flavor text mean a loop? What is that? I don't know.
I imagine so. I've done a little programming, but I don't recognize that syntax.
Okay.
But just to clarify mechanically too, the way I understand the way this card works is that the runner is approaching that piece of ice, so you do have an opportunity to jack out. But
okay.
If you're code replicating something beefy, like Anansi, like DNA Tracker, like Chiashi, and if the runner just spent a huge number of credits to break that big piece of ice, like,
right,
good night. Or even Kamainu, right? Wouldn't Kamainu keep its subroutines? If you
because it gains them on approach, right?
On encounter until the end of the run, so it would they'd encounter it, gain subs, you replicate, they encounter it a second time, has even more subs.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
The Kamainu combo is what you're gonna see.
It's pretty potent. No one. Yeah.
So the runner is only disallowed from jacking out the first time they approach a piece of ice in a run.
Yep. So even if it's the outermost piece of ice.
That was the ruling from Boggs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What was the other cards that are this one?
So the two influence is also an interesting aspect of this, right? Because
for the remainder, it was Brainstorm. Sorry,
there it is. Yeah, nice. I was just about to say, how can we use this out of faction, right? If you've got your beefy Brainstorm or Heimdall 2 or Archer, right? Like, that's no joke. If you've got a sizable piece of ice that someone has to break twice and their breaker suite is really inefficient against that, it's like an extra little glacier piece, right? It's not gonna... I don't think this is the card that's gonna win you the game, but for 2, if you can set up a scoring window with this, I think it's worth including.
Yeah. I'm just gonna check this also. Does Grail keep?
Good question. I think it does. Yeah. For the remainder of the run.
Yeah, because I think I got hit with Twins Merlin one time, so that's how I remember.
There you go. Code Replicator Grail deck. Yeah, I'm liking it. See, that's what I say. It's an interesting card, right? Like, it's not immediately obviously amazing, but you find the right synergies in the right deck. I think this card does some work.
I dig that very much. They had to be, they obviously had to be a great plan of theirs at 2 influence. They know if people want to utilize those options, that this card is flexible like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, the way I feel about this is that this is coming after a card, and we've seen another card spoiled in the litter pack that will do kind of the same thing. But this is coming after Caprice being gone, right? And with Caprice being gone, and a lack of certain upgrades that will end the run, even though we know there's one coming later, people are looking for additional options to kind of make the runner sort of push out. Like the runner's court to determine this is what they want to do.
Totally lost you. Recap quick.
Oh, sorry. In short, there's a lack of upgrades overall that can guarantee that the runner leaves the server when they run it. So the positive thing about this card is, as an upgrade, it fills a slot that's gone because cards like Caprice are less common now, where you can't just end the run. So this sort of puts the onus on the runner, to say, hey, are you going to jack out? Because this Komai Inu now has 8, 9, 10 subs, not 4 or 5 subs now. So you need to determine if you want to continue running through this again. I would imagine in that particular scenario, most of the time they jack out, but that means it's a better, this isn't ETR ice. This helps ETR, which is good. I think you want to have that.
Right. In the right situations, right? And decks like Ag Infusion, I think, will some of them will find a home for this because they can set up those windows of Nisei token, Excalibur, Ag Infusion ability, Code Replicator, right? It's forcing the runner into smaller and smaller windows to make those key scoring runs. And this is just one more tool in that toolkit for getting the runner in an uncomfortable place. Particularly pirate decks. Like, I think this is actually hilarious against a pirate deck because those decks have like one good run in them. They set up and they're good to go. And this card comes out and they're like, and you're like, can you break it again? You broke it once really easy. Sure, but do it twice. So that's kind of sick.
I dig it.
I'm honestly sorry. I'm just honestly looking stuff up as we go along here. Combos are running in my head. The more I think about it, the more I'm really happy about this card. I was thumbs up for this card before, and I think I could be like 2 thumbs up in this card right now. Like, I feel that it's yeah, I think it's going to be really cool, like what you can pull off with it. If you know, if people give it a chance. Jinteki has always tried to force, in one way or another, somebody through some kind of loop. And so, you know, whether that be like Whirlpool, Bullfrog, Ag Infusion, you know, getting you to replay something with Marcus Batty. But I feel like this does it the best.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably have liked to see it cost a little less, but
it's a pretty potent thing though, and 2 is not so bad for a guaranteed effect. Like, that's the thing, is there's no side game, no trace, no nothing. It just happens. So 2's all right.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then I'm thinking about, you know, seeing the 2 influence on here, and I'm thinking, like, can you imagine some of these cards in stuff that can be set up out of faction too, right? Like, we talked about Brainstorm, and I'm thinking about like, you know, looking at some of the NBN ones like Toll Booth, Data Loop,
Data Raven.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Data Loop, Data Raven.
Yeah.
Right. Like, just some cool synergy that could probably come from something like this, you know. If you're really an outside the box thinker, this is going to be a great card for you. So I mean, apart from you know, if they jack out and this card doesn't get utilized, then.
But even if they jack out, right, that's end of the run.
Yeah.
Which in many situations is something that is like your best possible outcome. You're like, great. and in ending the run, now they still have to get back in. Like, they still have to deal with that piece of ice. Unless they have some, you know, en passant, whatever, trash the piece of ice. It's still there. It's still waiting. So, yeah.
I think this should see a home in a bunch of decks. It should. It deserves it.
Pretty cool. I'm excited to see what people do with it. I really haven't seen it running around in the wild, but I'm hoping to be surprised one of these days. So, thumbs up.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
All right. Let's move on to a card that I have been playing with quite a bit, and I'm pretty impressed with, and that is Reverse Infection. This is a 0-cost, 1 influence Jinteki operation, and it's actually a choose 1 card, which we haven't seen too much of in this game. Very flexible. First option is Purge virus counters, and then you get to trash 1 card from the top of the stack for every 3 virus counters removed. And the other option is gain 2 credits. So I've slotted one of these in the Titan Fast Advanced deck that I've been running, and I play it pretty much every game. Don't hate it. I've been running into a couple turtle decks recently, and against Almakua, this is quite nice. It's nice against Clot, just to have that one-click purge. You don't get the secondary effect that much, in my experience, the trashing top card. They really have to be loaded up on a big turtle for that to happen these days, but I think this card can only get better. And that's why I'm excited that it now exists as an option for Corpse to say, you know what, if viruses are going to give me trouble, maybe I go Cyber Decks, or if I want to go cheap and quick, we go Reverse Infection for 1 influence. So I think that's nice.
Hollis, you want to go, or are you? Meh.
You're gonna mad this card.
I'm gonna kind of mad this. I mean, it's cool that it's cool that it costs 0, but
yeah,
it's definitely I feel like this is a meta choice, right?
Sure.
This feels like a pretty hard, like this seems to me like a pretty hard meta choice. If viruses are running rampant in the current, in the meta, then this to me is the card that at 1 influence especially. It's definitely a card that's engine techy, but it's meant to really be everybody's card, and it's meant to give you a free out. Hey, our virus is running rampant. Okay, well I have a card that will basically let me purge virus counters, and for every 3 removed, I can get rid of a card from the runner. So it helps me purge at a very low cost. Basically the action, because it costs 0. Oh, do you not have virus token? Not play a virus deck? That's fine. This card still doubles up credits. It's not just complete dead weight. So the problem I have with it though is that I think we're all sort of waiting to see what happens with viruses, because right now the viruses right now are insane. Right now they're all over the place. Like we're like, okay, imp is good, but like is our biggest concern the turtle? You know what I mean? Like, is it what are our biggest concerns in purging virus tokens in this instance?
I think it is against the turtle, and you're right. Like, if the turtle's causing you problems, this is a way to smack it down and give you extra actions to then install key pieces of ice to shore up your servers. Like, that's the thing that I think makes this nice, because if you just normally purge against the turtle, they'll just keep going back in, right? You purge, they're like, fine, time to load up the turtle again. And here it's like purge, install, go.
Well, you also have that new Anarch style of breakers, right? That you're going to be loading virus counters on those.
Right. So that's why I said this can only get better. And I think it's like what Hollis is saying, that we could get to a point where these viruses get crazy. And this card is there.
So here's my review of this card in a nutshell. Ready? This is Adam S. Doyle art. All right, let's go on to the next card. I don't know.
Look at that cube.
Yeah.
This is Adam S. Doyle art. That's the best thing about the card. Next card.
No, and you know what? I don't even know if that's the best thing. I've seen art from Adam that is just unbelievable, and I don't know if I gotta wipe this green smudge off my card or whatever happened there, but
it looks tasty.
It's so weird, man.
What?
It's so weird.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know what part of it's supposed to be the virus and which part is supposed to be the not virus.
Yeah. Honestly, it's so I wouldn't be able to pick this art. I wouldn't say that was this had no name on it. This is not his style. I feel like he's done something totally different. Look up other cards he's done. Realistically speaking, 0 cost, 1 influence, really cool. I love cards that have the versatility being in your deck. I thought, I'll take some flack, but I thought Deuces Wild was pretty cool. I played that.
People are playing that all the time.
I played it a lot. And when you have a card in your deck like this that has two very different uses, even like back in the day, infiltration and stuff, right? Like,
Sure.
you can do one thing or the other. If you don't need that other thing, this doesn't turn into a dead card.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you can be like, play CVS and stuff like that, but this I feel like is a really cool home in Jinteki, and what I feel this card does is give Jinteki, and we'll probably see things go across the board. This gives Jinteki a board check if virus stuff does get out of control ever in the future. That nobody can be like, oh, viruses are all over the place, blah, it's too ridiculous. You can just be like, hey, do you remember Council of the Crest? Go pick it up, play reverse infection, right? So
yeah. So yeah,
it's there.
It's cool that it exists. It's there.
It's there.
Very good. You're there. Get it on a playmat. Confuse your friends.
Oh, do not. I do. Oh my god.
Yep. You heard it here, folks. Well.
All right.
Oh, maybe
somebody knows Adam.
Maybe
and,
that's.
He gives us the full art.
I don't. Are you? I don't think you're allowed to reprint actual art onto playmats, right?
Not officially.
Well,
I think people have done it.
Yes.
On their own.
If someone throw this in the description, if they come across a full art of reverse infection, and if you go to our Facebook page, and if you ever get this on a playmat, I don't want to condone it, but if FFG comes out with it or does it, I don't know, we got to try and send that person something, man, because that's too awesome if somebody can put that on a playmat. That's ridiculous.
It's a dedication to the pink cube and Flubber there.
Prime candidate for some alt art on this card, man.
There you go.
Let's get off this.
All right, so we next have Osmari EdTech. This is the new NBN ID. We're actually going to be talking about this in a little bit. Our next episode, we're going to line this up, do a whole big spiel on it. We've done that for the last two runner IDs, so stay tuned for our ID breakdown of Osmari coming soon.
To a tube near you.
Let's keep it rolling to NBN. They're 3-5. We've seen a couple 3-5s coming out. So cycle, and here it is for NBN. It's Degree Mill. It's an initiative agenda, and it says as an additional cost to steal Degree Mill, the runner must shuffle 2 installed runner cards into the stack. Oh, damn.
What the hell? What? I mean, I don't know if we're keeping the show family friendly, but what the fuck is this? This, what kind of fuckery? This is crazy. I'm gonna drop the F-bomb a couple times. This is some weird fuckery. This is not a thing that's all over the place. Like, is it? It's not. This is a newer-ish thing.
Yeah, it's a direction for NBN. The ID's got some of this. Other cards have got some of this. Yeah, it's really messing with the runner's board. We had, was it Jua from the last pack there, which had to do with installing, uninstalling cards, right? Yeah, it's right. the new flavor, and this agenda it's pretty potent, pretty strong.
Huh. Interesting. I mean, just.
Oh, he's gone.
just Papa Damon's in the building. You gotta send some soap your way.
Oh.
Clean up that language.
No. David, don't
you got caught.
But like this to me, this is nuts. Like, when I think about where we, how far the game has come as far as like available, like things we've played with, like mechanics they've played with, usually uninstalling something and rebringing something from the runner's play area back to their hand has been something we may have seen before. But straight saying like from play into the deck, not a common thing. This is a new thing. This is a new era, ladies and gentlemen. Hey guys, if you weren't ready, this is the future. We made it.
Yeah.
But I mean, just so my thing about the Ho card, number one, it's a 5/3, which makes you hesitate ever playing it, but it triggers on score to stolen. So awesome.
Unless you're gonna play it turn 1.
I mean, yeah, then it's bad, right? Yeah.
It protects itself turn 1. You can't steal it turn 1.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh!
Yeah.
I'm losing it. Okay. I'm losing it right now. So, I think this is really, this is kind of, I don't know. This is so weird to me right now. This is so different from what I've seen. I don't even know how actually good this is. I want to say it is good. Right? I want to be like, this is good. Because when you think about how you install things, the actual game itself is designed so that this is a big, way to slow down the runner. You're only going to allow to have one copy of a program installed for the most part, right? You're not going to have 2 paper clips. You're not going to have 2 Black Orchestra. You're going to have 1. You're only going to have 1 console. You're not going to play double film critic. You're not going to play double feedback filter. So when you think about all of these things that you play 1x of, or you just play, you put it in a play and you forget about it, you leave it because your board's there. It's really cool to have this card to say, hey, do you want to steal this? Because to do it, 2 of your cards in play, leave now. 2 of those cards go away. And that sucks. That actually makes cards that actually makes using the recursion breakers worse. Because you can't just go pull them out of the discard pile. They go back into the deck.
Right.
Good design choice. I'm giving some props. Damon's in here. Damon knew what you were doing. Hey, Damon.
Yeah, it's funny that.
Well done.
Good stuff.
He waited. He was like, oh, perfect. My time is now.
Yeah, man. It's really powerful. And I think it's even strong if you don't plan on scoring it that often. As an NBN player, to have an agenda suite where your focus is scoring the small stuff like deals and your 1-pointers, but that this will protect itself pretty consistently. Or if the runner does decide to steal it, you set them back so far that now you can continue your game plan, maybe hit them back with a hard-hitting news or whatever defensive tech you have, punitive counter-strike, right? I think there are NBN decks that'll kind of make the shift to try this out and see if this is the thing that, gives them a couple agendas that they're just a real bummer to steal.
You know what? I'll talk on that point for a moment where you talk about the shift. I am not. I can't say I'm blown away, but I'm really pleasantly surprised, and I mean emphasis on the surprised for the way that NBN has made a shift, has just honestly 180 their whole play style and structure to something to a whole different way. I just can't say tell you how happy I am to see archetypes fully different archetype styles being developed under NBN. It's really making it very hard for me not to want to come back and play and experiment with them right now. I think that and even for the fact that these 5/3s, these defensive 5/3s, have been so different. I gotta say that I'm really liking agenda design right now in the state of the game. I think this is a really cool effect. Really cool built-in penalty for stealing this. I like it. I hope that something like this sees play. I think that maybe the problem people have is they get those blinders on and they're going to be too reliant on global food initiatives when they need 5/3s. That maybe this doesn't see the light of day, but man, I tell you, it should. Like, this could be like the this could be like the Shawshank Redemption card of Netrunner, right? Like the card that deserves so much praise, but may never get it.
He said Shawshank Redemption.
I was trying to think. I don't think Shawshank didn't win an Oscar, right? Did it? Didn't it get shut out to something else?
Yeah, because here's the extra spicy tech with this card, right? If you have a way of generating 1 point, like Echo Chamber,
yes, sorry,
for example,
Shawshank did get snubbed at the Oscars. I remember.
Oh, there you go.
So my analogy is on point. This could be snubbed, and I hope it doesn't. So Degree Mill is the Shawshank card, or could be.
Nice.
Carry on.
Yeah, so this style of 3-point centric decks, like 3-point only decks, it's becoming a thing now that these 3-pointers are getting potent and powerful. Like, I've run into plenty of Jinteki decks these days that are on Obokata and Bacterial Programming, and then they'll get that one final point, the 7th point, with like a Gene Splicer, right? Same sort of deal at NBN. You got a couple ways to get those 1 points off, right? You have 15 minutes. You got Echo Chamber. The 1 points that are really hard for the runner to deal with, and in some cases can't even get at all. So the runner has to steal at least 3 of these. And as the corp, your agenda density is low, and you can build up super taxing NBN servers and start scoring these things out. And I think between this and SSL and Global Food, like, that's a pretty compelling agenda suite that it's a direction for NBN to go that I agree that in the past they just really haven't had the means to do. And now this sets up this option of, like, if you want to go that route, if you want to glacier it up, like, here you go. Here's some glacier tech.
Yeah, I love it. Good. I'm good to move on.
I will say, I'll just point out here that it's cards like this that make you look at that most wanted list and go, like, man, the cards like Film Critics seem like they're top of the tier. And what restricted card is gonna show up in the majority of runner decks is gonna change over time. But with a release like this, I don't know, man. I feel like Film Critic is money.
Money.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to move on. I've said all my pieces. If you guys got more to say,
I just want to point out, like, the relation between you comparing the card to Shawshank Redemption and then Alex mentioning that Film Critic should technically be on the most wanted list as it is. It's like a cool, neat line.
I am the Film Critic.
Oh, shoot!
Alrighty. Well,
all right, moving
on. Restrict Jameson.
Let's restrict Jameson. He's too good. We got some personalized portal here. This is an NBN 3-res, 3-trash, an asset. When your turn begins, the runner draws 1 card. Then you gain 1 credit for every 2 cards in the grip.
Interesting.
This is such a weird card.
Yeah. Because it's doing something that you normally don't want to do, which is give the runner a card.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but we've seen that mechanic before.
Sure. And I've never been convinced
that it's a good thing.
Yeah, like runner or Pilanos will res that crazy asset against
Agriplex?
me. Agriplex, yeah, and I'll just go like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. It's weird. It's weird.
I love drawing cards.
Right. When Agriplex is resed against you, you're like, I know you're getting a value. I know, but I'm also getting something, and I kind of like getting cards. But this is leveraging even more. This is giving you a credit for every 2 cards. So they have a hand of 5. Your turn begins. They have 6 now. You gain 3 credits. They draw 1 card. You gain 3.
Yeah. But as the runner, you have the ability to play around that, right? Like, they res this. They break even. Your turn begins. You play a couple cards. And now they're getting 1 or 2. So it's like a fancy pad.
Expensive fancy pad. I feel like the average case is that you're going to gain 2 credits, right? Like,
yeah,
probably, right? You're gonna usually gain 2. But I guess then the question is, so would you pay 3 credits to res a card that says gain 2 per turn?
With a trash cost of 3, I think you'd have to be a specific deck where you're either CTM or industrial genomics. That extra little, like, asset spammy spice on top, the thing that makes it a little harder to trash this.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
What do you think, Jameson?
You know what though, man? Honestly, this card is so confusing, and I feel like it's boiling down to me on the res to trash. I think it's a. I think it's a hefty investment, like on that res cost up front. And if you can't make this stick on the board, like I know then maybe that plays into the mind game stuff that, okay, it's out there, so now the runner is either going to go and get it or trash it. And I still think it's going to be very timing dependent on game state if the runner is even going to trash it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have to look at certain things where it's like, you know, we've said it on the flip side of things, where card draw in a card game wins you games. And I'm giving the runner card draw, and I don't know if I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of commitment. You know,
yeah.
I didn't, in certain situations, you remember like the Jinteki cards when you're giving the runner money and stuff like that. I was at that, but that found a niche home, you know. But this is so different, man.
Okay,
Now it was pointed out in the chat that this is a non-unique card, so in fact you can have multiples of them resed, and that can increase its effectiveness, right?
But
and it was also mentioned in chat, it triggers Pilana, so there you go.
But they're assets though, right? So now, like, are you protecting it? Are you not protecting it?
So,
right.
So this is how I feel about that, because someone actually made a good point about this in chat, and I think it's relevant here, right? Like, if you are like CTM, given the fact that commercial bankers group is where it is, this is awesome in CTM, because this is a 3 to trash, and you're forced to take the tag. Well, you know, take the trace. So 3 is a decent cost when you have also CTM's ability to leverage this as well. So this is a 3, take the trace. You might take an additional tag. You'll probably pay the extra money for the trace. This card can come back and just generate hefty credits, and the runner keeps having to trash this and fight the tag. Like, that makes this card a lot better when we live in a world where commercial bankers is not as going to be, you know, we're not going to see it as much comparatively. With good reason, because commercial is not.
Yeah, I think it's got a home, and it's like CTM, maybe a splash hostile infrastructure, maybe you recur this with museum. But I see what Jameson gets at. Like, you're not just going to throw this in any old deck. You got to have a plan that this synergizes with, and if CTM's where that's at, there you go.
Good summary. That's it.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want it to be something, but you're gonna have to work for it.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. Well, speaking of doing work, our next card here is probably the card I'm most excited about. I've been playing with it a fair bit, and it's super fun. It's a Wayland card, so you know it's right in my heart already. It's an agenda. 2-point for advancement agenda security. It's armed intimidation. And it says when you score armed intimidation, the runner must either suffer 5 meat damage or take 2 tags. Damn.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man.
Damon, get Damon Boggs in here. I'm calling him right now. Get him in here.
We need to have a board meeting.
We're gonna have a conversation because somebody needs to explain this. I'm kidding. I mean, honestly, I feel like this is. I'm gonna say it's about time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is. I mean, as silly as I'm being right now, it's just freaking about time. Like, I think at this point we've seen FFG go all over the place trying to find where they balance Wayland with the rest of the factions and their available options. And do they get tags? Do they not get tags? Giving them tags too much? And I think that at this point, given where they are now, given where Wayland has been for years,
Damon just gives you the smile, just the smile.
This is the point. I feel like this is. I really feel like this is what happened. I'm gonna give the scenario. Here he goes. This is in my head. This is the FFG meeting where this card was created. This is what happened. So they've gone through the 6th iteration of Advanceable Ice. They've gone through the 11th iteration of cards do damage, but they don't do enough damage in Wayland. And they're having a conversation, and Boggs is sitting down, and there's Damon, and Damon's like, in his smooth voice, "Well, Boggsy, what do you think we should do about this card?" And then Boggsy has his beanie on, and he's like, "Well, really, Damon, I think that we should consider doing." And then Damon interrupts, is like, "Did we just have the same idea, Boggsy?" In my head, Damon always calls Boggs Boggsy. And together they look at each other, and like in sync, they go 5 meat damage, and then there's a pause, a weird delay, and then they go and 2 tags, and then the card's just done. Like that's it. Like it's been something we've been waiting for a long time. A card that says they take a huge amount of meat damage, or they take the damn tags. And in this case, being a 4/2, it's already an agenda nobody really wants to score. It's not the agenda Wayland needs. It is the agenda Wayland deserves, damn it. Okay? That is how I feel about this.
I feel like that conversation is just like the shift to bad publicity what NBN is shifting right now. Just no one saw it. No one saw it coming.
Yeah. This card is so legit. Having run it quite a bit, I've been very surprised how effective it can be. Just scoring it is a tax. But let me tell you where the spice comes in on this card and where you guys can get even more excited. Triggering 24/7 on this card, so brutal. So good. Right? You load this thing up, you get it in your score area, you score that hostile takeover or whatever little dinky 1-pointer, even a standoff, right? 0 points, getting your score area. And now you've got a 1-click effect that's 5 meat damage or 2 tags. You can just sit on for the whole game until the runner makes a mistake, and then they're dead. So good.
This is so sick. This is
so good.
This is just rude and disrespectful. This is just rude and disrespectful. And if you play it against me, we're probably not friends anymore. Like, we're just not going to respect you at the end of the day. So you have to live with that for the rest of your life. How about that?
Now, it is a runner choice. So there are definitely situations where, like, they've got the 5 cards in hand, and you install advance, next turn, advance, score, they take 2 tags, or they take 5 meat damage, and then they have their turn to respond. So there are definitely situations where the runner has some recovery leverage, but they've got to take either one. So either way, it's a tax. And it's a tax that then sets up a kill if you're running 24/7. And I'm digging that. I'm a fan.
So ridiculous. Damon says he's getting all of his texts just for me. Even in the non-whaler ones, he'll take the game loss. I'm happy to know that he wants to disrespect me so bad that he would just take he'll sit down and just flip the agenda and he'll like, you win. Like, Damon, why is that in an NBN deck? You win, but I'm the real winner here.
That's right.
All right.
So
Jameson, are you feeling the love? Are you feeling it?
I'm here on the scales with this card here. I like it for what it's doing, but I'm strangely weirded out by the cost of it a little bit. Like, it seems I would like to know if this was ever playtested at like a 5-2 or something like 4.
So it's too little, you think?
I think that what it's doing is I think I mean like 5 advancements for 2 points, not
right.
I think it's doing a lot of stuff, and the combos for the 5 meat damage or 2 tags is just is kind of ridiculous. Like, it's really got me in a weird space. I feel that how do I get this out? I think it's really forcing you to play a mind game and to really have your clicks utilized and planned properly on how you can set this up. Because if you're going to want to utilize this to set up a combo, like, what do you do? Are you dropping 3 advancements on it and then just saying go?
Yeah, so here's the play with this card. You run it in a deck with NGO front, so you've already got that like mind gamey space like you're talking about, where you've got your remote, your install advance, maybe got a piece of ice or 2, and the runner's got to decide.
And for the record, NGO front is in every deck anyway, so you don't have
to.
That's an auto include. That's there.
Sure. Okay, so it's there. It's good, right? So typically the play with this is either fast advance it out, which not every deck can do easily. I was doing that because it was a Jemison deck.
Boom. Okay. Point.
There you go. Jemison deck. Nailed it. So yeah. So you launch this off your rocket pad, right? You score it in 1 turn. That's kind of nice. You're scoring it normally. Install advance. Next turn, advance, score. You now have a click left the turn you scored this, where they've either taken 5 meat, which they can't do if they have fewer than 5 cards in hand. So that's good. So you're usually landing 2 tags. And then you can use that last click to trash a resource. Nice. Yeah, and runners are running a lot of good resources, and the 2 tags stick. And that's getting into your score area. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, you draw 24/7, and you go to town. Right? 24/7, they take 2 tags, you hit it with the boom. I'll tell you my best play with this card, and then I'll shut up. My best play with this card was it's in my score area. Click 1 24/7. The runner has 5 cards in hand, and they think, well, the only reason he'd do it if I had 5 cards in hand is if he had a boom. So I can't take the tags. So they don't take the tags. They take 5 meat damage, and they ran last turn. So I play Consulting Visit for clicks 2 and 3 and hit him with a Neural EMP. Boom. And they're dead. That was my sickest play. And my opponent was like, "You fooled me.
Yeah,
you straight up fooled me."
So
yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing with this card.
So I think
and consistent.
I love the play out of Jamison, fast advance. That's props there. I think what I love about this card is the speed bump that it's going to create, and the shift in tempo that you're forcing the runner to react to. Either way, right? Let's just say if they have their hand of 5 cards or more, you're going to take them down, so they're probably got to get a way to draw up. If you're tagging them twice in Wayland, that's obviously we know is a no-no. So now you're causing them at least the clicks or some kind of play to clear those tags. So you're controlling the tempo of the game there. And I also love the fact, and I'll say it again, how Wayland is getting this built-in tagging in-house, and it's different every time, and it's at least it's not just so blah. Like, this is very, very cool way to actually work to drop 2 tags on it, right? Like, if we're gonna put tags in Wayland, let's make sure that you're actually working for it. And this is doing it. But like I said, I feel like this is doing a lot. So to see it only be a 4 advance, like maybe that was done, to set up some kind of combos or the mind game or the testing. I don't know how the testing process went, but I'm like, man, this is doing a lot of work to be just a 4 advancement stuff. I would have loved to seen the talks that happened behind the scenes about why this didn't sit up in as a 5, or if it started as a 5 and shifted down.
Well, hey man, I think Wayland's been long overdue.
Yeah, like, I know that. I know that.
Wayland has not gotten a widely played agenda in a long time, so let's hit it up for this one.
Yeah. All right, I'll let it go. I'll let it slide. I love what it's doing to, like I said, for the tempo of the game there. And man, at the end of the day, it's 2 points too, so whatever.
Yeah. Bingo. All right. Well, thumbs up there.
Thumbs up.
Good stuff. All right. Let's move on to Wayland number 2. It's the only certainties: death and taxes. 2 cost operation, current transaction.
Subtype, double subtyped.
Yeah. Card is not trash until another current is played or agenda is stolen. And it says, whenever, let me repeat, whenever the runner installs a card or trashes an installed card, you may gain 1 credit.
Whenever.
And clarification from Michael Boggs here. Does death and taxes trigger when the runner trashes one of their own cards? Yes. In fact, this triggers even when a runner card trashes itself, like Daily Casts or Liberated Accounts.
Okay. How
about that?
This is gonna find a home. I love to see the current still coming out. I love to see the different varieties of currents out there like that. This competes in a space though, for one of my favorite ones. I'm a housekeeping guy, and I can't let this dethrone my baby. Like, housekeeping.
Yeah.
I mean, like, right? Like, I think, is that all I have to say is housekeeping, right? And then enough said. Like, drop mic and walk away.
I would also toss, honestly, paywall implementation into this conversation as well, right? Because that's 0 cost, and that's getting you credits. They're for different decks, though. Like, you don't put housekeeping in every Wayland deck because not every Wayland deck can lean into that tax. But every Wayland deck wants money. It's just a question of, are you going to be porous enough that paywall's going to get you what you need, or are you going to, armor up and then maybe you drop in death and taxes?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, it's going to have its place, but You know, and being the double, you know, having that transaction link to it there, obviously that, you know, be able to see some synergy in double using transactions. You know, if you really need to get currents back, we've seen cards that that play with that synergy.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, overall, I you know, call me what you will, but maybe I'm old school, but I just really like the housekeeping, man. I just like that current.
Yeah, it's hard to get around as a runner. Like, playing around housekeeping is just a pain. And with this, yes, you're giving the corp credits, but it's a pretty slow drip.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the runner matchup too, right? Like, if you drop this against Geist or Haley, you're all excited.
Yeah.
Because you're like, great, all right, we're going to do a lot of this. And against, I don't know, Valencia, maybe you get a couple credits off of this, but it costs you 2.
Right.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing too, is that I wonder if this. I'm wondering about the cost of this card. That, you know, we've obviously seen currents that can be played for 0. So should this have been one of them?
I feel like this.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, please. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like, because it is whenever, right? It's not the first time or once per turn or whatever. Like, because it is whenever, I feel like it can't be 0. That'd be too strong 0 to trigger whenever, because going to be the matchups like the Geist matchups or the matchups where, like, there's a lot of viruses that will trash themselves when they're purged, and things like that. Like, but there's going to be those matchups where you can make probably too much money for it to ever cost 0. But I agree with you. I'm not certain it's good. It's quite good enough at a cost of 2. It's almost like, in the best possible matchup, 2 sounds right. But in matchups where it's not just triggering every time, it's like, okay, you might as well play something else. You probably should play something else.
I'll tell you what. I've played with 1 game of this card. It made me a net 14 credits.
Wow.
And then I decided I can never play with the card again, because that's as good as it's going to get. That's like I achieved the dream, you know, maximum possible net credit gain. And I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's
high in the sky.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of, right, playing a game once and you win and you're just like, retire undefeated.
Right, I'm out. Yeah, and that's sort of how I feel about this. Is like, it's matchup dependent, it's situation dependent. It's a hard thing to drop in the early game or even in the mid game. Maybe if you're, like, leaning really hard into Brian Stinson and you're already running all the tech to turn on Brian, this is a nice little kind of synergy piece on top of that.
Yeah,
that's right. I see it ended up.
I've never seen Wayland have issues like where I'm like, you know, it would be good if I had just a little more money. Like, I know that's their theme, but I would like to see, like I said, this is not going to be my go-to style of play in Wayland, but that's just me. I like housekeeping. I like like door to door. So
there you go.
Death and taxes is you know, I can see it, but where I would like to see it experimented with is somebody to use this in one of those factions where maybe you're not making that Wayland money. I know that 3 could be a little more, and I don't know if it's worth spending that much influence on a current, but I think this could be a little spicier outside of Wayland as an interesting money generator. I think that maybe you're going to get a lot more use or triggers off it than you think you would. Where, you know, we talk about the daily casts and all of those cards that trash when they're done using it. But I don't know if that's on the scale of times when maybe you get like 2 to 3 credits, and then it's burned. So I don't know what, you know, if you're graphing it out over time, what the average is going to be. And I'm not even going to include your 14 credits on this bell curve thing,
right?
Because you're
a total outlier,
dude. You're skewing my numbers.
I know, it's crazy.
But yeah, so I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not sure what you're going to get on a return for investment. Already investing 2. You know, hope for the best the next turn, and
you're in Wayland, man. You got to think about that money.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I think there's ways that Wayland can do it without having to use a card slot on this. Sure. Because I almost think that we could be creeping to the point again in the game where I think every card needs to kind of help you in your win condition, and I don't know if this card is accelerating Wayland's win condition.
Well said. I think that nicely sums that one up.
Yeah.
Boom. Alrighty. Let's get to our final Wayland card of the pack. It's a Trojan horse. It's a guy holding a microchip with a tiny horse. It's a 1-cost operation, gray ops, and it says play only if the runner accessed at least 1 card during his or her last turn. All right. And then it's got a trace 4. If successful, trash one installed program with an install cost equal to or less than the amount by which your trace strength exceeded the runner's link strength.
Yeah, that's wordy.
3 influence. It's a lot of words. All right, so let's break this situation down.
Should we wait for Hollis to flick his camera back on so we can see facial expressions?
Let's get Hollis back in here.
He won't. Here he comes.
All
right, continue.
So you've got your runners on a Gordian Blade. They access a card, right? You pay 1, you then trace 4, and you look at their credit total, and you put your money into it so that you're 4 above what they could possibly pay. Then they decide it's not worth boosting, and then you trash their Gordian Blade. Boom, done.
So
it's okay.
Okay, well,
I'll do you one better. Here's actually one better. A lot of shapers these days are running Degdeer, and Degdeer is a 0-cost program, right? Is it 0 or 2? Can't remember. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I can't remember the actual cost.
Degdeer is, oh gosh. Well, it's cheap. So point being that it's usually holding a magnum opus on it. See if you can use this to trash the card that's holding magnum opus. That's pretty nice as well. Degdeer's 2. Okay. 2 costs.
Well,
so now that's a little less. Yeah.
All right, so here's the challenge. Okay. So the benefit is that you play this card only if the runner has access to at least 1 card, which I feel like that's not a very difficult condition to fulfill at all. It doesn't feel like it's a very difficult condition to fill.
They basically just make a run, and it's successful.
Yeah, and so this is going to get sort of like more, I guess, around on like the theory of how good this could be, I guess. Not any kind of real world examples necessarily. I think Wayland is best suited, because the card is 3 influence, so it's going to be difficult to splash this somewhere else. You're going to be really, really trying to flex this in if you really want to use this card like that. But Wayland's probably in the best position to use a card like this, I think, because of their burst economy and those kinds of options that are available to them. So I feel like that alone means they could be in a position where they can have a surplus of money and decide that a card like this is going to be hugely impactful. But the flip side of this is that I feel like maybe I want to say initially the most impactful cards you could hit would be breakers. But if a lot of people are on the recursion breakers.
Here's where it's at, though. They're on those recursion breakers. Where are you running this card? You're running out of Scorpios.
Yeah, you're gonna run out of Scorpios. And I think that's yeah, and like that then we get really weird, right? Because then it's like, all right, well, if the card is a prime I think
You're good.
Okay. If the primary deck you run this out of is gonna be Scorpios, then I'm like, okay, how are Scorpios decks doing? Like, what's the economy like in a Scorpios deck? What's the build that works well with this? Is it just a straight up denial where it's like program, get rid of it, program, get rid of it, which is cool. Like if that's how it's gonna work, where you combo Archive Memories and Trojan Horse with a surplus of money and just pick apart the deck very carefully that way. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. This is difficult to judge. I would like to hear what the chat thinks about this, but I'll swing it to you guys.
Everyone's just comparing it to Hunter Seeker.
Well, which is an appropriate comparison, right? Because Hunter Seeker is not even playable, right? I'm pretty sure that was on.
It's restricted.
Restricted, excuse me. Like so, it's like
yeah.
It's just like another card we just saw at NBN. This card fills the role of a card that's on a restricted list. So now you have more wiggle room to say, this card was hugely impactful. Do I slot this in over something else if there's an alternative?
Or more copies of that, right? Like if it's an effect that you really want, this could be 4, 5, 6 Hunter Seekers now that you have. Or you could drop this on the same turn as a Hunter Seeker if the runner is running Sacrificial Construct, right? You Hunter Seeker, they save the first thing, and you're like, cool, all right, Trojan Horse, trash the program.
It's pretty sick.
It's there. Like, the pieces are there. But I think Scorpios really should take a hard look at this card because it can do some work.
So my comments on the whole situation is I was basically going to say what Scott dropped in chat. I'm like, Scorpio only. I mean, like, if you're running Scorp, then you pretty much are going to play this. And if you're not, it's not really too thrilling in anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think in anything else it's worth the effort that you're putting into dropping it, tracing for it, and setting everything up, the money that you're going to have to put into it. You got to stick with your game plan, like I said about the last card. And this is just going to escalate Scorp's win condition, but I don't really see it escalating very much anything else.
Now, I will say, I think there's a way that this card can be helpful that I sort of alluded to when we talked about Force Connection back in the day. And that is to set up hard-hitting Muse out of Wayland. Mm. So having a card that you play earlier in that turn to drain some of the runner's credits. Maybe it's not a trace you're intending to definitely win, but between this and Economic Warfare, that's applying a more regular monetary tax on the runner over the course of the turn, and then kablam, you hit him with the hard hitting. And maybe this is all just within Scorpios, which is totally reasonable. I'm just saying, I think these things are starting to add up over time, these effects that are really starting to threaten to hit the runner in a big burst of, in this case, traces and whatnot.
Yep.
Cool. Well, if your deck's into this, give it a try, because I think for what it's trying to do, it's pretty cool.
I also like that now, just randomly also, on top of Hunter Seeker, there's this, and there's also Best Defense.
Oh, yeah.
So like you mentioned Sacrificial Construct, so immediately what came to my mind was like Best Defense, like.
Yo, Best Defense is
good. get rid of that nonsense, and then we're gonna Hunter Seeker that. And while I'm here, go ahead and here's a trace for that. Like just get rid of all of these guys. I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Yep. All good?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's round it out with our final card of the pack. Oh boy, it's Technoco.
Wow.
It's a neutral, unique, 2 res, 2 trash asset. And it says the install cost of each program, piece of hardware, and virtual resource is increased by 1. And whenever the runner installs a program, piece of hardware, or virtual resource, you may gain 1 credit.
Hum.
Well, you know that it's so overpowered that it's unique.
Yeah. Let me tell you how not excited I am about this card.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not a big asset spam guy. Like, it's just not my play style. Second of all, like, even playing against this card a couple times, I don't know, maybe gets you a credit or 2. You earn a credit or 2. You make the runner pay an extra credit or 2. Then they go trash it. I don't know. I just think there's better assets. Like, if you want to asset spam, by all means. But unless your game plan is so focused on that credit differential, maybe out of Spark.
I
don't know.
To me, this is one of those cards that it's like, this is going to be right now the definition of you know, what's a deck slot worth to you, right? And again, you know, just like this theme on the last couple cards is that if it's not helping your win condition right now, it's not making the cut, and this is just not making the cut.
In most decks, like, I think there are decks that can leverage this. If you're in an NBN deck where that hard-hitting news trace is the thing that gives you the win, this can get you there a little bit. But I think it's supporting an archetype that already is doing fine.
Yeah,
and that's maybe what you're saying. So, they're already doing fine. Is this going to be the thing that pushes it over the edge?
So you're calling it a win more?
There you go. Yeah. Okay. That's one way of putting it. Yeah. It's just not a card for me, and that's why I'm having a hard time getting excited about it. But who knows?
Yeah.
Some people.
Same.
This is not getting slotted in any deck for me. Like, this will probably stay in the box for a good little while, which is good because, like, I have this, like, couple extra inches of space where, like, 3 data packs can fit. So I'm probably going to take this card and turn it long ways, and it's going to keep the rest of the cards propped up really well so that I can just...
Oh, there you go.
It's pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty good holder. Shout out to FFG for giving me a placeholder. I don't know.
All right.
I'm hoping this doesn't have... I'm hoping nobody finds secret sauce to do something weird with this. You remember when Donut Antagonist came out and Kevin Kennedy made that ridiculous donut deck, and and I think when I saw it, I was like, "What? This works?" Like, I think I feel like this will be one of those scenarios maybe where somebody plays this, it will be like, "What? This works somehow?" But then it'll be a one-time thing, and then we'll be like, "Okay, well, good, great job, you do well."
Yeah,
you win.
Well, fellas, we made it to the end. Thank you very much for everybody who spun out here along the way. I gotta say that Degree Mill is definitely my card of the show. I probably, if we had more time, we could go back and talk about this card even more, because I think it is that good, that cool.
Nice. And who's getting the Aquaman, man? I want to hear it. I want to hear the Aquaman card.
Well, give it to Technoco.
Oh, you win the Aquaman award for the most useless, whatever card. Good job.
Let's wrap up on a little something different. Let's wrap up on a sad note. So, Hollis, you got anything to say in concluding?
Before the sad note?
Yeah.
Real quick. So before, let me give a happy note before we get to the sad note. Earlier in the week, I honestly can't pull it up right now because I'll be typing too loudly. An amazing person that I can't remember right now, posted in Netrunner Geeks, and they gave us a shout out. And it was very nice of them. They said something like, hey, have you guys heard about Publicity? Apparently they've been around for a while, and a lot of people talk about other podcasts, but I noticed that not a lot of people talk about Bad Publicity, and it's a really great podcast, and I think you guys should listen. And whoever said that, I want you, number one, I want everyone to know that was not us on a secondary fake account posting that. We did not do that.
We don't Kevin Durant the game, man.
No, we did not do that. But to that person that did do that for us, number one, thank you very much. That was very, very nice to say. But in general, I wanted to give a thank you, and I'm assuming I can give that thank you on behalf of both Alec and Jameson.
Is Spags still in the Spags? If you're still in the chat, what do you think? Do you think the Bucks and the Raptors are going to go first round? Just gotta throw that in there.
Oh my God!
Continue it off.
But basically, I mean, I really, really do appreciate the people that showed us a lot of love in that particular post. It's a very humbling experience because we're all just three guys on the internet that like the game and we're passionate about it and we like the discussion points and we just want to chat about the game and laugh about it. And enjoy it with everyone else. And so the fact that any group of people will take time out of their week and make us a piece of the entertainment or a piece of a hobby they enjoy means a lot. Like, it actually means a significant portion. It makes us feel very happy that people take time out of the day to participate in that with us. So if you're a listener, whether it's online, after the fact, if it's live, if it's even in the past with the SoundCloud, yes, I know a lot of people want SoundCloud back. So no matter where you heard us, we just really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. Well, not all of it, but a portion.
Well said.
Thank you so much. Anyway,
Alec, you got anything?
No, I totally echo what Hollis is saying there. That was really great to see. Nice comments. And for folks who have more comments, things they want to suggest for us, different styles or topics, whatever, we're always happy to talk with you about that and always happy to think about the way that we do this and try new things, new formats, and just stay in the conversation because it's a great game.
That's all it is, right? It's just a conversation.
Yeah, just keep chatting with us. We love it.
All right, you guys ready? So this will be it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Here's the sad news that I will announce. It came out earlier today that if you love FFG and playing these games like Netrunner and L5R, for example, it might be the theme and the lore that keeps you coming back to this. It was announced that Katrina Ostrander, who has been on the show as a guest, she put together the big Worlds of Android books and does a lot of the lore, and she keeps the synergy throughout this game, and she does a lot of work with the story of Five Rings. She's leaving FFG, so hopefully, I really think they're gonna have big shoes to fill in her position, because she has done a wonderful job keeping the theme and this connective spider web and everything, the synergy across the board, very, very much intact. And that can't be easy after 5 years of a card game. So she's definitely the android keeper of the lore, as Lucas once called her back in the day. If you needed to fact check anything about the story, you went to Katrina, and she's leaving FFG. So hopefully we don't see a dip in that, because it's definitely a world that I have loved. So Katrina, sad to see you go.
Well, it's definitely sad for us players of these games, but it, hopefully is a happy thing for her career to be moving on to something new and exciting. So, definitely wish her all the best and appreciate all of the excellent thematic world building awesomeness that has been the game of Netrunner. We definitely appreciate it. So best wishes going forward.
Yeah, Katrina, you rock, girl. You get it, girl. You get it. I'm kind of sad also because I'm so used to seeing her tweets on my Twitter all the time, and like every time she posts a tweet, I'm always like, ooh, okay, it's time to check it out. And now I don't think I'll see as many.
All right, well, guys, we'll catch you next week when we get into our ID episode. Hopefully, we have this box filled with maybe a special guest. We'll see what Hollis can link up for you all. All right,
I'm holding all the cards.
We are done. Thank you very much, guys.
See you,
Take
everybody.
care.